everyone. I'm Allison. Thank you for joining me for Where I'm From 210 with Bryn. What have you been reading? I read I'm Laughing Because I'm Crying by Young Mayer. Um, it's a memoir, and she's a stand-up. You may know of her. I have seen some of her stuff on social media, and so I was interested in reading her book, and I thought it was super interesting and a lot about growing up biracial. Her father is, and it's also, I mean, saying it's funny is a little hard. It definitely approaches things with humor. That's not like funny. Hello, Bryn.
Hey, Allison.
How
Nice
are
to
you?
meet you. I'm great.
We crossed. I'm good. Yeah. Like I was just having a conversation with my husband. So many things in the world are bullshit, but things that are not deserve our attention. And so I'm happy to be here with you because this is not bullshit. So,
It is not bullshit. And what was the book that you were pitching?
I'm laughing because I'm crying by Young Mayer. Do you know her?
No,
Or-
but I understand the title.
Yeah. So her sort of thesis, she's biracial. Her mother is Korean and her father is American and white. And her thesis is that like being Korean, that like that's the two are completely intermingled, laughing and crying, and that there's no untangling them. And it's like a funny book, but really harrowing. I mean, she approaches things with humor, but she had a really challenging time of it. So saying it's funny is like a little hard to say.
If you like that, oh
Yeah, I
yeah.
do.
Have you read Sigrid Nunez?
No, I don't know which
Oh my
one.
God.
I've read one.
I could not recommend Sigrid Nunez more
Okay.
highly. Like, my very favorite is Where Are
Okay.
You Going? What Are You Going Through?
Oh, I haven't read that one.
A friend sent me when I'd broken my ankle, and I was like,
Hmm.
this is perfect.
Hmm.
Existential.
Yeah.
And but her name, Sigrid Nunez. So I just read one of her more kind of autobiographical autofiction
Yeah,
books,
yeah. I've read
and
one of
it
those.
was Feather on the Breath of God. And her dad was Chinese Panamanian
Okay.
and her mother was German. So, like, at the end of the book, there's this really painful moment where her mom says, like, she's seen her father play with these little Chinese kids and he was more interactive with them than he'd
Mm.
ever been. And the mom said, oh, yeah, I mean, I'd probably be different with German kids too. So, like, the implication is that, like, her own,
Right. Right.
right? So, but she's
Right.
cool. And anyway, hi, it's so
I
me too. We
It's nice to meet you too. I think that, yeah, I mean, she says too, being biracial, like she can criticize the Korean community as much as like everyone's like, great, criticize Koreans, that's fine. But the minute she is criticizing white Americans, people are like really uncomfortable, even though that's her heritage as
right.
well. And so I think it is
Yeah.
also this like in between place where they're not allowed to have opinions, you
My
know? It's
my
just
friend
gross.
Tomoko, who has also been on this podcast, her children are Filipino, Japanese, and Italian, right? White Italian. And there was some great moment when their dad, who is the white man, said something kind of, catty about white people, and Celia said, "Hey, I'm half white people."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I love memoir. I'm a fan. Obviously, I do
Yeah.
this every week, so I'm clearly a fan, but I also do love reading that. I don't know. I find sometimes with fiction I get like bogged down like this isn't real. Where, with memoir I'm like, "Oh, this feels real." Like there's something about
Yeah.
it that's just a little bit, when you have to be true to the details even when they're not great, you
That's
know.
why I like Sigrid Nunez. I feel like all of her novels are not
Yeah.
really novels. There's
Yeah.
like not really a plot. They're more like
Yes. The one I read was like that.
musings,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
they're very existential. So that's what I like too. And I know what you mean. Like, my mom is very nonfiction centered in her reading, and I've become a nonfiction reader as well, although I started as a poet. So, like, fiction just
Mhm.
doesn't. doesn't.
I mean, it's a fun distract. Like, it's
I
good to
read.
have all of it. I love all of it. I'm so grateful for books. I know that people aren't reading as much, supposedly they keep telling us, but meanwhile, people are buying books, so someone's reading. Um, and I think, I mean, it saved my life. I've said here many times. It gave me a place where I felt community when I didn't feel it in my own life. So I'm very grateful for books all the time.
Yes, but I will
Um,
say that I taught at the university level for several years in the English department, and I left teaching in part because once the book went
mm,
away, um, we it was just really difficult to have students do the reading,
mhm,
remember what they read, which I really understand, right? Like, I mean,
mhm,
once that pen hand connection's gone, like once you're not making
mhm,
notes in a physical
mhm,
object, like you can boldface things and you can, with your computer, but
mhm,
like they just spatially didn't have the memory of a page.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so conversations were pretty, they just deteriorated so profoundly, it really hurt. So,
It does hurt. I find that even for me, when I read on a Kindle, it doesn't resonate with me as the same way when I read the actual, like it doesn't sink in the same way that when I read an actual book does.
right.
And it seems like because of AI, people are returning more to pen and paper, which I think is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, which was not an intended consequence of that invention, but it is interesting to me. And I saw what Viet Nguyen talking about how he's returning to oral exams because of Chat GPT, and I thought that was interesting, like the cyclical nature of
It is,
all of
although
it.
again, like having a more introverted husband, like
Right,
I've realized,
right.
like not everybody is gonna
No, no,
thrive.
it's not gonna, no. But that's true in any academic situation. Not everybody is gonna thrive, and even when they try, I don't, it's a mess. I mean, it's a mess. It's very difficult.
Even my cat,
But oh, hello.
this is Luli.
Hi,
She's a
Lily.
great person. She would not be here.
Well, that's sweet. I appreciate guest stars. Oh,
I know the tail was a big
yeah,
part in teaching.
yeah,
My students
yeah.
would be like, "Oh my God, is that Luli?" Like, yeah, it's Luli.
That's very
I'm
cute.
professional.
That's professional to me. Oh my goodness. I'm glad that you didn't start your poem though, because that would have been kind of funny.
This is where I'm from now. I'm at a
Yeah.
beautiful house that I bought in March with my cats, writing my second book.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a dream. Living in your house with your cats and writing your second book. I mean, that's what more
It
do
is.
you want?
It is. And there are these moments where every once in a while, I'm pretty happy with it, right? And I feel
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have these moments where I need to kind of like tone it down because I don't want
Mm,
somebody else to feel like I'm flaunting my
mm,
privilege. And they're just like, go for it.
yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love to
No,
be there.
I think it's really important to see joy in people who are feeling happy and content with their lives because I
Yes.
actually I think it's really important to get out in the world because most of my interactions with actual humans are lovely.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
and I think we can kind of feel numbed or overwhelmed by what's happening because that's how it's intended to work and
Yes.
it's doing a great job.
Yes. And really like one of the things that brings me so much joy about this house is that this is not in my Where I'm From poem. I realized I don't make much mention at all really of the fact that I was from a farming family.
Mm,
And part of what has happened with my second book is about I worked for a couple of years in an antique mall after I
mm,
left teaching, and I learned so much about stuff. And I'm a keeper,
mm,
but my
mhm,
sister's not a keeper. And so I'm thinking a lot about like why people keep things, what
mm,
makes us hold on to things.
mm,
And I had owned part of the family farm for years. My father died in 2005, and my sister, my brother, and I all had shares in it. And for years, I had this land. It was kind of like
mhm,
a Scarlett O'Hara thing, like where you're
mm,
like, I've always got this.
mhm,
And I only got married very recently, and we were like, we'll never be able to buy a house in Seattle. And then I had this moment of going, maybe
mm,
I could turn this into an asset instead of
mhm,
something I'm keeping as a
mhm,
safeguard. And
mhm,
so it's been a big thing for me because it does feel like letting fully go of
Mhm.
where I'm from in
Mhm.
some ways, like literally where I was from. So
Mhm. I think that can be really hard, and I think it is interesting thinking about why we hold on to things and like they can be sources of comfort or they can be something else, and it's sometimes they're one thing and they turn into another and
yeah,
it can be difficult at times to re-examine because I think sometimes we just don't have the time or the space or the fortitude.
yes, exactly. That's great. Yeah.
So,
But
well, good
also
for you.
I think holding on to things, I love being the person that people give things to.
Mhm.
Like I think you would appreciate it or
Mhm.
figure
That's
out a
sweet.
way to use it or so I'm very pro maximalist.
I love that. Okay. Well, on that note, do you want to read your poem?
Sure, thank you.
Yeah.
And by way of introduction to this poem, what's so great is I began to write this the first day of a memoir class I was in last year, and we all had to write one kind of by way of introduction.
Mhm.
And so then I went on writing retreat a few weeks ago with that class, and I was revising it. And I read it to them, and they go, Bryn, that's really good. And I was like, I'm a poet. Like, it's a nonfiction group. They were like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that happens too. Okay.
It's nice to get that response to things
Yeah,
when you're just kind of, doing your thing. You're like, yeah, I've done
yeah,
this before.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay. Where I'm from by Bryn Gribben. I'm from a wind that stops at nothing, from three colors only in fields of three crops, from gardens we didn't grow because they'd either freeze or boil. I'm from a brick house in that wind, that heat, that snow so deep the plows made queen-sized beds on which we shouldn't sleep. The cold shot through your ears, a gun, where hearing holds a wound, insistent, throbbing, hard. I'm from library cards with my mother's name still on them, both of us born in the month that cannot make decisions, and so we favor mysteries. I'm from where nobody travels, but everyone drives. An hour to the grocery store, to piano lessons, football games. From where the most French thing around is mustard, and international coffee is from General Foods. But everyone RSVPs, and no one cancels late. Where I remember every classmate's birthday based on who brought treats to school. I'm from landlines with long and lanky cords, snaking around hall corners to the bedrooms shut like Tupperware. My fingers still could dance the dial duet of numbers no one answers anymore. I'm from sun tea brewed by noon and frozen lemonade pie, one of those dishes made from just 3 cans. I'm from a tree I only know the name of because it's a disease, and another whose seed puffs cover shallow rivers like a lovely mold. I'm from end of harvest picnics and over exaggeration, from an Irish name misspelled upon arrival, and a grandmother I never knew, Eulalia, spelled with an I no one pronounced, and that she never thought she could correct. I am from laughter so loud all other families bore me, from every skeleton out of its closet, dancing on its grave, from you'll end up on the streets and you're going to be so famous, from what's wrong with your friend and I think I always loved you, from mixed tapes with collaged covers and swim meets in memorial of small children killed. I was born in a town famous for getting the hell out of, and I did. I'm from the church that's closest to the cemetery, but farthest from our house. So far, I'd seek new saints in other countries, hang them on my walls, replace a god of wood and tile with many made of gold. From a great uncle who wasn't working fast enough and didn't dodge the brick thrown by his father. From a grandma watching soap operas in just her bra and pants. From a mother written in genetic code exquisite as the Swedish filigree, who swore she didn't have the family photos, forgetting that she did, white envelopes of faces, date-lined by white sedans, the brocade couch of cream and ochre. I'm from that shoebox on her bottom shelf. I moved it to a basement of my own. My sister calls the nonsense room because that's where I write and keep my other histories. I've burned some of the letters, tossed out so many negatives, but most of them I've saved. And all the pictures hung upstairs show women who look more or less the same. Thank you.
And thank you, Lily, for your appearance. But it was good because you'd introduced, so it wasn't as jarring.
Right.
What a beautiful poem and so many things that the phone cord, I'm recently writing something about the 80s. So I had been
Oh,
writing about the phone cord, and wrapping it around my character's fingers. And yeah, I sort of miss that.
it's a visceral, it's a visceral,
Yeah.
right? One of the sexiest things an ex-boyfriend ever said to me was when we were first like kind of coming together, we were just like writing like mad back and forth. And he was like, our conversations remind me of those like long junior high phone calls where you would just like pull the phone as far as the cord to like,
Yeah. Yeah. And the mixtapes, the collage mixtapes, and
uh,
I also kind of miss those. And
oh, I really miss those.
yeah, so those, yeah. So thank you for reminding me of these things that brought me so much joy. And so where are you from? Do you,
I'm from, can you guess? You want to guess?
I was like, oh, is it Eastern Washington or is it like Iowa? And
Kansas.
neither.
Kansas,
Kansas. Okay.
from West Kansas. And I was actually the hospital I was born in. I was born in Dodge City, which is
Oh,
where you
funny.
thought
Get
of.
the hell
Right?
out of Dodge. Okay. That
But
makes a lot of sense.
my mom
Yeah.
had to drive an hour and a half to give birth to me by herself because my dad was busy
She
harvesting.
was already in labor.
Yeah,
She knew she was in labor.
yeah.
Wow.
But
That's
also, my dad wouldn't take the time off of farming to.
right, right.
I mean,
Wow.
I don't know. Like, that's kind of
Mhm.
how everybody did it. So,
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, tough broads, women living on farms.
yes. Yeah, there's another story that circulates. My dad's mom died before I was born, but my mom told me there's this story about her walking with my Aunt Pat, who was her oldest child, as a baby. Like this grandmother carried Aunt Pat like 8 miles to just go talk to somebody, or 2 miles or something. Just she just needed some interaction.
Mm-hmm,
Walked it,
hmm.
like so.
I think I thought Iowa because of 1,000 acres. It made me think of
Mhm.
that
Oh
book.
yeah.
Yeah.
When I asked my dad, um, I said, when that book came out, I said, "Do we have 1,000 acres?" And he, oh, yeah, at least. So I guess that's not really that many acres comparative.
It's
In
very
West,
poetic, though.
yeah, in
You
West,
know.
I mean, what I liked about one of the things I loved about growing up in Western Kansas really was the space. Like there's so
Mm,
much space, and I mean, I still miss stars. We just don't see
mm.
stars out here.
Yeah,
Um,
neither do we.
no, and I really don't I just can't imagine what it's like to grow up in a really big city because there's so much assumption that you have everything at your disposal. And yet, really, what ends up happening is there's too much of it and nobody really takes advantage of most of it. Right. And so, where I was from, like, if something was happening, you
Mm,
all went. Even when I was in grad school, I started graduate school in Kansas. I did my master's degree
mm,
in Eastern Kansas.
mm-hmm,
And once I got out here to Seattle, one of the things I couldn't understand was how so many readings were happening and no one was going.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I was like, but it's because they're like, oh, I've got to get home, or I live
mm-hmm.
in part of the city. And, if you're just going to walk a couple of
The
blocks,
driving thing is real.
the driving thing is super real.
And you say that, like, for example, I live in Los Angeles, which is a very large place, and sometimes something will be happening, and I think, oh, I should go, but it's like 2 hours away.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's not like it's down the street. Nothing's down the street like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly. I mean, and so Little Street where I grew up, that I drove around in reverse through my hometown with my best friend in high school. We just wanted to see it in a different
Mhm.
way. And so we were like, what else haven't we done here? And that's what I think is really helpful about growing up in a really small town is your creativity. I mean, it can go way
Mhm.
bad. It can go
Mhm.
like Please Don't Cry bad. Like when I
Yeah.
saw that movie,
Yeah.
that brought back a lot of memories too, just about like what what kinds of things happen, like where people are just like desperate for something interesting to do. And so
Yeah.
urban surf, like right where they ride the car hood and uh,
Yes.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Then Amy and I were just doing weird things like
Mhm.
driving in reverse around the town. We walked through all the alleys just to
I
see.
think no matter where you live, if you want to, if you're a person who gets up to things that are no, that you do that. I
Yeah.
don't think it's a small town thing or a big city thing, or I mean, I just think,
Yeah.
like you didn't, and you wouldn't have in a big city, and I went to high school medium size, and there were plenty of shenanigans happening, and I was
Yeah.
adjacent, but I was never like fully engaged. And I think that's certainly how I was. So it was like I wanted to know what the chaos was so I could get a handle on it and be prepared in my
Yeah.
mind for it, but I wasn't like engaging in it fully.
Oh, I was I mean, Amy and I, this best friend of mine, we had a Twin Peaks club, and we were
Yeah.
probably few people in the town who watched it,
It was
So,
it was
I
a
mean,
big deal. I was actually just talking about that with my kid who just watched all of it. Like what a big deal it
it
was.
was. And I mean,
Hmm.
like I rewatched it recently too. And now that I live out here,
Yeah.
I really understand it
Yeah.
very differently. And I
Hmm.
realized really how scary it really was that like
Hmm.
there were these serial killers and, Ted
Hmm.
and Woods. And
Hmm.
I just didn't really kind of catch that in some ways. Like Amy and I were just
Well, and it
on the,
wasn't very clear, especially the parts that were on TV at the time. I mean, it was like, I mean, it was just such a departure from anything else that was happening on
exactly.
television that it felt just, I don't know, it felt like a window into some other world that it was like, oh, this exists where television is art, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. That's good. That's well put because that's what I thought too. Is I was like, I can't believe this was on major television.
I
So
remember it being an event and actually it being a thing that I would bond with other people who were watching it. It's like, oh, you
yeah,
were also what? Can't you believe it? And
yeah,
those kind of moments were, I mean, it was a special thing.
it was a big thing. And
Mhm.
part of what I think is really hard about. So I'm turning 52 in a couple of weeks.
Oh, congratulations. I am in January. I thought we were close in age, but we're really close in age.
Are we? Okay.
Yeah, I'm turning 52 in January.
Tomiko, I think, is turning 52 in Jan. I think she's also my actual age, and I'm like older, but Tomiko is always my older.
I don't feel like that really at
Yeah,
this age is of
yeah.
any significance.
Things like even though there are these really big things happening this year, like I'm finishing my second book, I bought a house. um I still think of my Kansas years as where some all of it happened. You feel
Mm,
like all of the really big things happened,
mm,
and I left Kansas when I was 24.
mhm,
And so I've now been out here.
mhm,
I remember the year where I officially lived out here longer than I lived
mhm,
in Kansas. and
mhm.
and it was big because I still think so many of the things that I really identify as I think are Midwestern. I went back briefly. I was Luli, please stop doing that. She's attacking like holiday wreath. Here, I'm going to show you.
She's like, this is my chance.
I
Mom is
have
distracted. This is my chance.
I have this stuffed rat on a lazy Susan surrounded by a holiday
Hmm.
wreath.
Hmm.
And the lazy Susan is there just because it was there, but maybe that's a bad idea because Lily loves to take the rat for a
Seems
ride,
like a fun
like a
toy.
merry-go-round.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
this is my life now, right? Like
yeah.
in my 20s, I felt, I loved, I read. Now, now I got this insane.
That's really a lot of love, though. That's sweet. I mean, from my perspective, that's very sweet,
Oh,
what's
it's so
happening.
sweet. But
Yeah.
again, like there's another cat here too, who's the
Hmm.
one who actually follows me around all day. And Lily is usually just like under the bed, but if she's kind of a screen star.
Hmm. She wants her moment.
Yeah.
So what were you saying about, were you finished saying what you wanted to say about being
Oh,
from Kansas or?
yeah, just that, but I think that's it, is that um I watched one of your other, I've been watching your podcast, and
No, love, thank you.
yeah, and somebody, I think you said you write one every year, and I thought,
Yeah,
oh, absolutely. I mean, oh, I could do an entire Where I'm From just from my college years, because those
right?
are so dear to me and so
Yeah,
important and so shaping.
yeah.
And then there's so much stuff that kind of feels like a blip on the screen.
Hmm.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I did go back to the Midwest for a couple of.
Oh yeah, that's what you. Hmm.
I got a tenure track job
Hmm.
in English in Northwest Missouri,
Hmm.
and it was it was really interesting to be back for as an adult, and really think about what it must have had to be. I mean, actually, I thought it was much harder to be an adult in the
I
Midwest
think so.
than it was to be a kid, because like if you don't have a family, if you're not a kid person, if you don't
Hmm.
have kids, I've always been very kid friendly,
Yeah.
but you don't
But
have,
some people can't really see that distinction. Some people are like, if you don't have kids, you hate
you
kids.
must, yeah. But really
No.
surprising how few single people there were to
Yeah, I've
still,
heard that.
yeah.
Hmm.
But I ended up leaving after a couple of years because my mom was like, I was getting to see my mom all the time, which is great.
Mm. Hmm.
And she was like, yeah, just go back to Seattle. I'd rather visit you there, because it was really hard, but I had
I
wonderful.
think it is hard when you get something you think is the thing you want,
Yeah.
and then it's way more complex than you had imagined, which I think happens, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, the academic world, I'm sure many people have heard this. It's just such a narrow track
Mm.
that, like, I'm very glad that I did have that experience, because it
Hmm.
it proves a lot to yourself that, like,
Hmm.
you'd imbibed, like, that you're like only going to be successful if you do this. But then it also proves a lot to you about, how much you can handle. You can handle a lot, and you can do it by yourself, because I did it by myself. Um, but also, the thing that I really loved about being back was that I could say, hey, Allison, do you want to come over for dinner tonight?
Hmm.
And you'd say, let me go check with my
Hmm.
family. And then, like, you'd come back 30 minutes later and be like, is Fix cool? What can I bring? And you wouldn't cancel.
Hmm.
Like, that's the thing that I still tend to gravitate towards people in Seattle who I find are not from Seattle, and have a little bit more of that code of honor about,
Hmm.
if I make a plan with you, we keep the plan unless one of us is like ill. So
Yeah, no, I I used to get really frustrated with that, but now I'm just like, okay, I have an alternate plan. But it used to really like be, and then you kind of realize, oh, some people that's just, and then eventually like you don't make plans with that person anymore after they cancel enough. You're
yeah,
just like, okay, this isn't a priority.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Oh,
message received. Um, but yeah, it used to, and now I'm just like, okay, I'll read.
okay.
I'll do something, like it
Yeah,
wasn't my plan. But I think I have a friend who's single, and for her it feels much more like I'm not single and I have children, and so I'm surrounded, and I think for her at this point in my life, and I think for her it feels like she's really making an effort to have relationships and have community and hang out with people, and it's like it does it matters in a different way, like she needs that. She doesn't want to stay home and read a book every night or watch television. Like she wants to be in community with people. So it's
right.
interesting knowing her and listening to her talk about these situations because it's different for me, and it's easier for me to let go because I'm not alone,
Got married
and
for the first time I mean, part of the poem, just to kind of bring it back to that poem,
yeah.
is there's one line I put in here about, like, what's wrong with your friend? Like,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I didn't date a lot in in my young years,
Yeah.
because, like, I was from a town of 1,000 people, and my
Mhm.
graduating class was 38. Right? So it
I
was
mean,
like,
it's just really difficult for me to even,
yeah, when I went to college, I went to a small liberal arts college,
Yeah,
and I had friends whose like high school class was bigger than the college. They were like, "Oh my God."
for sure.
So, but like, I didn't date much because when I was younger, because there was a lot of, I was really clear on who I was. I felt like I had a great
Hmm.
mom, super supportive mother, and all you really need is one or two, or you need like one or two really good friends.
Hmm.
And it was just not emphasized that I needed to be in a relationship, which people are like, well, of course not. You were a child. But I was like, in the Midwest, it can be very different. Like
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
lot of people, that's the goal, right? And
Hmm.
so I remember being in the back seat of this car. We would go to another town, like you'd go 30 minutes east,
Hmm.
and you'd drive up and down their main street.
Hmm.
And you'd get in cars with people, like you'd ride
Hmm.
around in cars with people you didn't know, like
Hmm.
cars cruising Maine. And I remember this one time, all these girls, we were in this car, and the guys were making dumb, probably
Hmm.
crude jokes, and I wasn't laughing. And one of them was like, "What's wrong with your friend?" And I was like,
Hmm.
that defined how I felt in high school a lot with boys. And so,
Hmm.
um, I felt like that was helpful though, because it developed this security around, again, like feeling like it was okay, like there wasn't something wrong
Good
with
for you for taking it that way, because I definitely was that person at times, and I was like, oh, I would vacillate. I wasn't totally confident in it. I would
yeah.
I would be like, what is wrong with me? And then I
Hmm.
would try to like date someone I didn't really like, and it wouldn't go well, and then I would.
Well, I knew though. I mean, like again, like there were times that that kind of thing hurt. Like if
Mhm.
you had a
Yeah,
crush on somebody, which was
yeah,
rare, and that
yeah,
attitude was kind of like, she's a little too smart, like
for
that kind of.
sure. Mhm.
But I didn't ever intend to stay part of the town, so
Yeah, me neither. So
you
that
know,
was, I mean, I went to high school in Boulder, Colorado. So it's not a small town, but it's definitely smaller than Los Angeles. And
oh
the high school was, I mean, it was small. Moving in, it was like I was an outsider for sure. And I didn't intend to stay, but I think I still sometimes chafed against things, and
yeah,
it still left a mark.
you know, I love. I mean, we were like 40 miles from the Colorado border.
Oh yeah.
And so I mean, we only vacationed in Colorado
Mm.
usually. And that was part of, I remember as a child having this moment on vacation going, oh my God, wouldn't it be cool to live in the mountains? And then I
That
thought,
is cool.
I could do that. That's kind of as far as my mind could go in terms of where else I might
Hmm.
go,
Yeah.
like where else I might be from someday.
Hmm.
I was like, ooh, I could live in Denver or Colorado Springs. And so there was this moment in my old apartment. Like I lived in one apartment for 11 years, I think,
Hmm.
and I loved it. And I could see the Cascade Mountains from the bathroom. And I would have these moments of going, I did it. I made it. I'm a girl who lives near the mountains,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, no, I do know. It's interesting how we carry those little things with, I mean, I actually lived in Seattle for like not even a year after college. And I think I was drawn to it because I had lived in Colorado and I
Yeah,
wanted to be near the mountains. And
yeah,
yeah, I think these our little selves, they influence us and they take us places. And I think it is important actually to acknowledge all of that we've all accomplished together, like saying to her,
yeah.
like, look at us, like, and I feel that way often about my life. Like, my young self would be like, oh, wow, you're
You,
happy
you
and
did it.
safe and secure. And
Yeah.
that's amazing. I never thought we'd feel that way, and it's a big deal.
The ultimate where I'm from poem, I feel like, is since you are a Coloradian, my sister's birthday is in May, and we went to Casa Bonita.
Yeah, that's funny. Actually, so my sister-in-law just posted pictures from there like last week, and I was
Oh,
like, I know that place.
oh,
Um, I haven't been there
watch
since they've
the
redone it,
Trademark,
but my
the,
brother has been and has
if you
sent
watch
me pictures.
our guys' documentary,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
so much about like this is my child, this is their
yeah,
childhood,
yeah.
very important, and they ended up spending like $40 million.
I know. I don't really understand why more rich people don't do things like that. Like, if I had so much money,
Yeah.
why would you not do something joyful
Why would you not protect something that you
that
love?
was meaningful to you?
I mean, my theory is this, like, I've thought about that too. One of the most important books for me in my life was this book called On Beauty and Being Just by
Mm,
Elaine Scarry.
mhm,
And she tries to talk not about like what beauty is, but what you experience when you see it. And she
mm,
said you want to copy it and you want to protect it. Like those are the
mm,
first two things.
mm.
And I wonder if part of it is that the really mega wealthy are like the South Park guys are outliers, right? In some ways, like they are quirky. Again, I don't think they're not from the coasts. And I mean, I appreciate what you said earlier about the fact that like you can be anywhere and try to make your city weird for you, right? Because I,
Yes,
but I get this perception of like, like how when you would be surrounded by so much, and you didn't have to hold on to anything, like it could always be, you could just replace it or you could move forward, then maybe that's why they don't have that attachment. Like there's no need to protect it because it could always just be replaced. I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean,
That
and to me, it's so, I mean, whatever. There shouldn't be billionaires, so it's like,
yeah.
and that's it for me. And I don't know why they are the way they are and why they're not interested in legacy, other
I,
than just being the most consumerist. Like,
I mean, it's the most ego. It's super ego, right? I
yeah,
mean,
it's
not
just
ego.
stunning to me.
Ego. It's ultra ego that they're
Yeah.
like, my legacy is that I will have been famous. And then, Ozymandias, the Shelley poem
Mhm.
that ends with him looking at this giant statue in Egypt and thinking, reading the tag on the bottom, the tag, reading the inscription that says, I am Ozymandias, the great and powerful. All ye behold, look at what I have done. And he's like, nothing else remains. That's the
Right.
last line. And I think that's really, I just wish if we were going to like make a billionaire reading list, like that would be like page one
Mhm.
for me,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I could talk to you for much
Oh, I
longer.
know.
We're already talking for a long time. Apologies for somebody who's wondering when we're gonna wrap up. So, anything else that you would like to say, Bryn? This has been really lovely. Thank you for joining me. I loved your poem. I enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you. I mean, because the world is so difficult in America right now, like I do feel like I want to say, like, I know it's really difficult to imagine like that middle America swath
Mm,
and and I mean, I saw that, like, I guess Bernie Sanders is doing these like drives through red states
mm,
now. And I do still believe that what's hard is that like, there's a rule of a concept. But if you were face to face with someone, you would get a different reaction in the
for
Midwest.
sure.
There's great goodness as well as
Yeah.
great cruelty anywhere.
It's
So
hard. Like I was saying at the
resist,
beginning, when I have actual interactions with people, they're usually positive,
yeah,
and it's
and to assume that there's this swath of the population that's completely not thinking or
well,
feeling.
and even if a state is red, like there's lots of people there who are voting exactly the same way as you, and I mean, it's not, and there are plenty of people in California who vote Republican. It's not like
Yeah,
everybody here is one way and everybody there is one way. I mean, that's just not the way things actually work. So
right.
I think, I hope that when listening to these poems and conversations, I mean, politically, pretty much everyone who joins me does agree with me, but we're all from different places and have
Yeah,
had different experiences.
yeah,
And I think it's the nature of reading and writing and engaging with these like bigger questions that we're
yeah.
discussing here that lead us to these belief systems, and reinforce them. Like, we believe in equity
Well,
because,
just reading.
yeah, because it teaches you
Period.
compassion,
Yeah.
and being compassionate. In the end, we would like everybody to just have a home and healthcare and food to eat.
We were in Ireland. I'll end with this. We were in Dublin recently, and like Dublin loves its artists so much, and just
Mm,
everywhere they're just full outside walls covered um, with calls to action about literature, about reading,
mm,
and they said, like studies have shown that even if there are 10 books in a home, it doesn't matter what kind of book they are,
Mm.
but just having any space in the home devoted to books like increases like the family's like
Mm.
happiness, success. Like it was pretty profound. And I
That
thought,
is profound. I
yeah,
hadn't heard that. Mm.
matter. I mean, like you don't even have, it can be Jodi Picoult or it can be
Right. No, it
me.
doesn't need to be serious or important
Yeah,
or whatever words we want to use. Yeah.
just the fact that a book is honored. So
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you. I'm so thrilled to be part of this because
Yeah.
again, where I'm from is really on my mind a lot often. And
Yeah. Yeah.
thanks. Thanks,
Well,
space.
thank you, Bryn. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.